Every year, parents buy white noise machines, swaddle blankets, special bottles, all promising to stop the crying faster. And most of them treat the symptom, not the signal. Here's what pediatric researchers have found after decades of studying infant communication. A baby's cry isn't random noise, and it isn't a malfunction to be silenced as quickly as possible. It's actually one of the most sophisticated communication systems a tiny human has. And once you learn to hear it differently, something in you settles too. This isn't about a magic trick that makes crying stop. It's about understanding what's underneath it. Researchers have a name for this deeper way of listening. We're going to call it decoding the cry. Here's the simple version. Decoding the cry means treating every cry as information first, and a problem to solve second. Picture this. It's 2 a.m. Your baby wakes up crying, a sharp rhythmic sound, arms stiffening slightly. Your first instinct is to make it stop, rock harder, shush louder, check the clock, and panic about tomorrow. But there's a pause available in that moment, just a breath, where you can actually listen to the sound itself instead of just reacting to it. Here's why that pause matters so much for development. In the earliest months, crying is a baby's only language. Long before words, before even babbling, a baby communicates hunger, discomfort, fear, and overstimulation through subtle differences in pitch, rhythm, and intensity. Researchers who study infant vocalization have found that these differences are consistent enough that trained ears, and increasingly algorithms, can distinguish between them. Every time you respond to a cry with curiosity instead of just urgency, you're not just soothing your baby in that moment. You're building the earliest foundation of trust, that signals sent out into the world get received and understood. And that foundation shapes everything that comes after it.
Researchers at institutions like Brown University's Infant Studies Lab have used spectrogram analysis, essentially visual maps of sound, to study infant cries in detail. What they found is that cries aren't uniform. They have distinct acoustic patterns, differences in pitch, duration, and rhythm that shift depending on what's causing them. A hunger cry tends to be low and rhythmic, almost repetitive, while a pain cry often starts suddenly, sharp and high-pitched, without the same building rhythm. The plain English takeaway is this. Your baby's cries genuinely do carry different signatures, and with enough exposure, most parents start picking up on these differences naturally, even without formal training. This works whether you're a first-time parent or you're fifth, whether you have every parenting book on your shelf or none at all. Your ears are already wired to learn this. There's a well-known finding in infant research involving something called cry contagion. Newborns in hospital nurseries, still just hours or days old, will often start crying simply because another baby nearby is crying. It's an instinctive, almost reflexive response, long before a baby understands language or context. Interestingly, researchers found that a newborn's own recorded cry, played back to them, doesn't trigger the same reaction the way another baby's live cry does. This suggests babies are tuned in from the very beginning to distress signals in their environment, sensitive to emotional information around them in ways we don't always give them credit for. As babies grow past the newborn stage, this sensitivity doesn't disappear. It becomes the foundation for something bigger. The same wiring that makes a newborn cry in response to another baby's distress is part of what later allows a toddler to notice when someone else is sad, and eventually to comfort them. None of this is about getting every response perfect or diagnosing every cry correctly in the moment. It's simply about awareness, understanding that the sound itself is already full of.
Here are 3 simple steps any parent can start today. No equipment, no apps, no special training required. Step 1 is notice. Before you react, take one breath and actually listen to the shape of the cry. Is it rhythmic and building slowly, which often points to hunger or tiredness? Is it sudden and sharp, which often points to pain or startle. This step is easy to skip because our instinct is to jump straight to soothing, but that half-second pause to listen is where the useful information actually lives. Step 2 is respond. And this doesn't need to be complicated or perfectly accurate. You might say out loud, even to a newborn who doesn't yet understand words, "You sound hungry. Let's check." Or, "That sounded like it startled you. I'm right here." Speaking to the cry, rather than just silencing it, does two things at once. It helps you slow down and think through what your baby might need, and it teaches your baby, over time, that their signals are being heard and taken seriously, not just muted. Step 3 is sustain, which means treating this as a pattern you build over weeks and months, not a test you need to pass every single time. You won't correctly guess every cry, and that's completely fine. What matters is the consistent experience for your baby of being listened to first.
Compare this to the noise machines, specialty bottles, and cry translating apps parents often turn to first. Those tools can sometimes help in the moment, but none of them can teach you what your own baby's specific cries mean over time, the way your own attention can. Remember the 2 a.m. moment we started with? The sharp, rhythmic cry, the instinct to just make it stop. The science was never telling you to ignore that instinct. It was showing you that a half-second pause to listen first makes that instinct even more effective. You don't need to become an expert at instantly identifying every cry. No parent does, and no parent ever will perfectly. What you're building instead is something quieter and more lasting. A relationship where your baby learns, cry after cry, night after night, that their sounds mean something to someone. The rhythmic cry in the dark, the sharp startled cry that softens the moment they hear your voice, the tiny sigh of relief against your shoulder once they're finally understood. These aren't small moments. They're the earliest sentences in a conversation that will last a lifetime. If this changed how you think about your baby's cries, consider subscribing.